Hello, did you know that intimate habits you've been practicing for decades can, after 60, become silent villains to your health? Men like you, who have always taken care of themselves, often don't realize that the way you seek pleasure might be harming your heart, your prostate, and even your ability to feel true intimacy. In this video, I'm going to reveal the 7 most common mistakes that mature men make in their intimate life that no one tells you about. We'll uncover how to correct each one before they affect your energy, your performance, and your long-term vitality. Do you feel less sensitive, or is the pleasure not like it used to be? Have you noticed any discomfort or realized that intimacy has become a chore? Get ready, because mistake number 6 is a champion and almost everyone commits it without realizing. Stick with me to discover how to reverse these issues and reclaim your strength, circulation, and confidence without relying solely on medications. It's time to understand your body and live with more pleasure and dignity at any age. Let's do this. A 68-year-old patient once came to my office and said, "Doctor, I've been doing it the same way for over 40 years, but lately something isn't right." He wasn't sick, hadn't started any new medication, but what was silently harming his body was the way he explored his intimacy, not the act itself, but the manner in which he practiced it. And he had no idea that this was affecting his overall well-being, his prostate health, and even his ability to feel fuller pleasure. I'm Dr. Jane, a urologist with over 10 years of experience caring for the intimate health of men over 60, helping you maintain strength, circulation, and confidence without shame, without relying solely on medications, and without trial and error. You've heard that exploring your own intimacy is healthy, right? But after 60, some habits can silently become harmful without any obvious warning signs. In this video, I'm going to reveal 7 misconceptions that mature men make during their intimate practices and how to correct each one before they affect your energy, your performance, or your long-term health. And look, mistake number 6 is the one almost everyone commits without realizing. Shall we start? Before diving in, if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, hit that red button down below and turn on the bell so you don't miss the next tips designed especially for you over 60. And if this video makes sense to you, type yes in the comments. If it doesn't, type no. Your feedback helps me a ton to create even better content. Now let's get to the first mistake, something that's become increasingly common in recent years and is silently changing how your brain and body respond to pleasure. Mistake number 1, using intense visual stimuli as the main form of arousal. Over these 15 years in my practice, countless men, usually in their late 60s or early 70s, have sat in front of me with the same discreet concern. "Doctor, it seems like I don't feel much anymore. It's like my body is going numb, and I don't know why." Almost always I ask a simple question: how often do you rely on visual adult content to stimulate yourself? And most of the time their eyes lower, not out of shame, but because they never imagined it could cause real damage. Listen, after 60, the brain's dopamine system, the one responsible for pleasure and motivation, isn't as sharp or flexible as before. Watching endless clips of adult content, with all that speed and intensity, floods the brain with more stimuli than it was designed to handle. And when this repeats day after day, week after week, the brain adapts in the worst possible way. It starts to numb itself. That means what you used to enjoy, that natural spark of intimacy, starts to fade. Touch doesn't feel the same anymore. The body doesn't respond as quickly. And even if you're still physically healthy, your ability to truly connect, to feel something real, slips away silently. The saddest part is that many older men blame themselves. They think they've lost it because of age, but in reality, it's not age, it's overstimulation. And if you don't reconfigure your brain's response system, this numbness can persist for years, even decades. So, If you've noticed a drop in sensitivity, connection, or satisfaction, don't ignore it. This first mistake could be the hidden reason behind it all. And surprisingly, the next mistake has nothing to do with what you watch, but where you practice your intimate moments and how that environment silently harms your body in ways most don't notice. Mistake number 2, seeking intimacy while seated in improper postures. This might seem harmless at first, even convenient, right? Over the years, I've talked to many men who discreetly admit that the bathroom has become their private space, not just for hygiene, but also for their moments of relief. It's where no one interrupts, the door locks, and routines feel safe. But what most don't realize is that seeking intimacy while seated, especially on the toilet, does far more harm than they imagine. As we age, protecting circulation becomes crucial. Blood flow is the foundation of healthy sexual function, prostate well-being, and even the ability to recover after climax. Sitting for long periods, especially in that hunched and somewhat squeezed posture many adopt on the toilet, restricts flow to the pelvic area, pressures the prostate, tenses the pelvic floor, and subtly damages nerves that are already more fragile with age. I've seen this pattern very clearly. Men in their late 60s and 70s develop swelling after urinating, that annoying dribbling, difficulty fully emptying the bladder, or even groin pain, and they never connect it to this private habit. But as a urologist who's analyzed hundreds of exams, heard stories, and followed results, I can affirm this seemingly innocent position can start a slow chain reaction that over time worsens everything, from intimacy to comfort. The solution isn't complicated, it's about awareness. If this sounds familiar, consider changing the environment. Stand up, recline in a comfortable spot. Give your pelvic area space to breathe and circulate properly. Believe me, your prostate is silently begging you to stop squeezing it like that. If you found this mistake surprising, wait until you hear the next one. It's something most older men do without realizing, and that secretly reprograms the body to feel less pleasure with each attempt. Mistake number 3, rushing the experience. One of the most common habits I observe, especially in those who've spent decades under stress, busy routines, or simply learned to keep everything quick and quiet, is seeking intimate moments in a hurry. They treat it like a task to check off, a moment to conquer quickly, instead of something to fully feel. But here's the problem. After 60, the body doesn't function well under pressure. Whether literal or emotional, I've heard patients say, "Doctor, I just want to finish quickly. I don't have time to prolong it." But by rushing, you put the nervous system in a state of tension, heart rate spikes too fast, blood vessels constrict, and the relaxing and hormonal benefits of orgasm, oxytocin, dopamine, serotonin, don't reach their full potential. You might reach climax, but the body doesn't get the true reward. Instead of feeling satisfied, you feel emptier. Instead of energized, you feel drained. Worse, this rush pattern teaches the body that pleasure is quick, shallow, and disconnected. Over time, you start losing sensitivity, can't sustain arousal properly, struggle to maintain interest with a partner, and think it's just age. But it's not. It's the habit of urgency that's silently stealing something far more powerful than a few minutes of relief. So slow down, make each moment intentional. Your body is still capable of deep sensations. If you give space to feel, breathe, pause, there's no finish line here, just presence. Speaking of presence, most men don't even realize they're neglecting one of the most important muscle groups in the male body, a hidden system that controls everything from erection strength to bladder control. That's the next topic. And once you understand it, everything in your sexual health can change. Mistake number 4, ignoring the pelvic floor. Most men have never heard of it, Yet the pelvic floor is one of the most vital parts of the body, especially after 60. It's like the foundation on which the bladder, prostate, and sexual organs sit. It's the hidden engine that powers everything from erections to orgasms and urinary control. When this muscle group is weak or neglected, everything starts to suffer, silently but deeply. I remember a man in his late 60s, a former athlete, proud father, who came complaining about a drop in sexual performance. "Doctor," he said, "I eat well, I exercise, but something just doesn't work anymore." What he didn't realize was that his pelvic floor, once strong and active in his youth, had fallen asleep. Years of sitting, building tension in the lower abdomen, and ignoring this area left him disconnected and with real difficulties. When seeking intimate moments without engaging the pelvic floor, or worse, forcing and applying too much pressure, you put unnecessary strain on the prostate and weaken the very muscles that should support it. Over time, this leads to leaks, dribbling, poorer erection quality, and less sensation at climax. It doesn't happen overnight. It builds silently, year after year. The good news is it's totally possible to reactivate these muscles. Gently contracting the area you'd use to stop the urine stream during arousal builds awareness and strength. Over time, this simple habit can restore not just physical function, but confidence too. A lot of people ask in the comments how to do this right, and I'll make a specific video on practical pelvic floor exercises. If you want that content, leave a yes down below. And speaking of confidence, the way you seek your intimate moments can throw off the whole system. It might surprise you to know that the frequency with which you touch yourself can play a much bigger role than you think. Let's understand why mistake number 5, inadequate frequency, too high or too low. This is a topic many men hesitate to talk about. Some fear they're doing it too much, others quietly wonder if going too long without is okay. Between shame, confusion, and outdated advice, many over 60 end up on a lonely and uncertain path. And look, I get tons of messages asking exactly this. "Doctor, how many times is normal?" What I see in practice is this. Both extremes can cause damage. When a man seeks intimacy too frequently, out of habit, boredom, or unresolved emotions, the body often can't keep up. Energy drops, prostate tissue gets irritated, and over time it may take longer to recover, or interest in real intimacy can fade. It becomes less about desire and more about routine, which dulls the nervous system and drains vitality. On the other extreme, some stop completely due to medication, health issues, religious guilt, or the belief they're now too old. By the way, a lot of people ask me about religion and sexuality, and I always say, taking care of your sexual health isn't a sin, it's health. What they don't realize is that the body, like any system, needs regular circulation. Sexual arousal, even without orgasm, helps maintain blood flow to the genitals, nourishes nerve endings, and keeps erectile strength. When that's absent for too long, atrophy sets in, desire decreases, and the door to physical and emotional connection starts closing without warning. There's no perfect number, but for most men over 60, 1 to 2 times a week, done with presence and care, is usually a good balance. It allows maintaining circulation, restoring hormonal rhythm, and keeping the system alive without exhaustion. Remember, it's not about rigid rules, but listening to your body, which speaks more softly with age. And even when frequency is right, one common mistake can still undo all progress. It's something most do instinctively without realizing they're damaging nerves and even changing the penis's shape. See next. Mistake number 6. Using excessive pressure or force. This is one of the most overlooked and damaging mistakes I see in older men. I've lost count of how many patients sat in front of me, frustrated and confused, saying things like, "Doctor, I don't feel like I used to," or "It's requiring more effort than ever." Behind these phrases is often a silent habit they never thought twice about, using too much pressure when touching themselves. I totally understand. As sensitivity decreases with age, the natural response is to grip tighter, press harder, or try to recreate lost sensation with intensity. But here's the truth: your body is trying to tell you, force doesn't restore sensation, it destroys it. The penis's nerves are delicate, especially in your 60s, 70s, and beyond. Years of aggressive friction, strong grips, or using objects and surfaces that apply excessive force can cause real physical damage. Micro tears in tissue, loss of elasticity, even internal scarring that can lead to curvature, reduced blood flow, and pain during arousal. It's not just uncomfortable, it can permanently alter anatomy. This type of trauma is a silent thief. It doesn't appear overnight. It accumulates slowly, and by the time you notice the difference, the damage is well advanced. I have patients who developed Peyronie's disease because of this prolonged habit. There's another layer to this story. When a man feels he has to fight for pleasure, he disconnects from the joy of the act. It becomes a battle, not care. Just this mental pattern can reshape the body's ability to relax and receive pleasure naturally. So be gentler with yourself. Your body deserves that care, and your future self will thank you immensely. Speaking of disconnection, there's one last mistake that goes beyond technique, beyond the body. It's emotional, even spiritual, and unfortunately very common among older men, and it might be the most harmful of all. Let's talk about it now. Mistake number 7. Seeking intimacy without emotion, connection, or intention. This is the most invisible and often the most painful mistake. It's not about what you do, how often, or where. It's about how you feel when you do it. Over time, many men come to see the intimate act as mechanical, routine, empty, without real meaning. It becomes a silent escape from loneliness or a dull habit done without thought, emotion, or intention. I've talked to many men in their 60s, 70s, and beyond who say the same thing. It's not like before, or I don't even know why I bother anymore. The truth is, the body can still function, but the heart isn't in it. There's no connection, no presence, no warmth, and this emotional distance takes a toll, not just mentally, but physically too. When intimacy disconnects from emotion, the nervous system is trained to expect pleasure without purpose. You might reach climax, but the brain and body don't release the same restorative hormones. You don't get the oxytocin that boosts mood or the dopamine that sustains motivation. Instead, there's a feeling of apathy, a shadow of what the experience once was. Even deeper, it reinforces the idea that pleasure is something done alone, in silence, without joy, but it doesn't have to be. Even solo touch can be sacred, mindful, and life-affirming. A moment of reconnection with your aging body, not with shame, but with sincere gratitude. Your body is still yours, it still feels, it still matters. A lot of people write to me saying they feel alone in this, that they've lost their wife, or haven't been in a relationship for years. And I always reply, emotional connection can start with yourself. It's about looking in the mirror and recognizing that you still deserve pleasure, still deserve to feel alive, still deserve dignity in intimacy. Now that we've explored the 7 mistakes, let's put it all together, because true transformation starts when you understand how to rebuild this relationship, how to reconnect with strength, confidence, and vitality at any age. If you've made it this far, I want to speak not just as a doctor, but as someone who deeply respects the journey you're on. Over these 15 years, I've seen so many good men struggle in silence. They blame age, they blame time. Some even blame themselves. But the truth is, no one taught us how to care for the body as it ages, especially when it comes to sexuality, pleasure, and intimate connection. You've just heard the 7 most common mistakes mature men make regarding intimacy. And none of them come from laziness or ignorance, but from habit, decades doing what worked, without realizing the body, like life, changes. Slower circulation, a more sensitive prostate, a nervous system that no longer tolerates force or carelessness, a heart that wants not just sensation, but meaning. Let me be clear, there's nothing shameful about touching yourself. There's nothing shameful about seeking comfort, relief, or even joy through your own body. What becomes dangerous is when we stop paying attention, when we rush, when we disconnect, when we assume what worked before will always work. See, each of these mistakes we discussed has something in common: disconnection. That's the real threat. It's not age, it's not desire, but the slow erosion of connection with your own body, your own pleasure, and your own vitality. The good news is, it's not too late. Never is. Your body is still speaking to you, even if softer, even if it takes longer to respond, even if things don't seem the same. It's still alive and wants your attention, your care, your respect. It's like a classic car, you know? It needs different handling with age, and that doesn't make it less valuable. In many ways, it makes it more sacred, more special. So, what to do now? Start small. Be gentler with yourself. Be more aware. Relearn your body's territory. Use intention, not automatic habit. Curiosity, not shame. Stop chasing performance and start honoring sensation. Don't be afraid to breathe, pause, feel deeply, and above all, don't stop believing that connection is still possible with yourself and with others. I've seen men in their 60s, 70s, and even early 80s completely transform their health, intimacy, and energy when they stopped seeing aging as an end and started seeing it as change, as evolution. You deserve this change, deserve to feel truly again. You deserve to live with awareness, strength, and dignity, even in the most intimate corners of your life. Because in the end, it's not just about avoiding mistakes, it's about reclaiming the silent power that's still in you. And I guarantee, from the heart, it's still there waiting to be rediscovered. Now take what you learned today, apply it with gentleness, and remember, your best years aren't behind you. They're in how you choose to live this next chapter, with care, wisdom, and pride. If this video helped you in any way, don't forget to leave that like, subscribe to the channel, and share with another man who needs to hear this message. And look, a lot of people have been asking about private consultations. If you want to talk to me, I left the link in the video description. Let's go on this journey of reconnection and health together. Hugs, and see you in the next video.